Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Miggy Writes Metal. Today I'm going to show you how I mix these metal guitars for this track called Failure. Alright guys, so here we are in Logic. I'm going to show you how I mix these guitars for this track Failure. This was just a demo track that my boy Tony, guitar player of Chasing Stars, decided to shoot something for this video. And so let me show you how I go through mixing guitars. Some of these things you might have heard before, some of these you might not, but either way we're going to get into it to hopefully help you guys figure out how to nail in your guitars. We're going to go step by step, plugin by plugin. You don't have to use these exact same plugins, but there are plugins out there that kind of do a similar thing, and I'll recommend a couple of them as I go through. So let's get into it. So first up, this down here, this is the guitar bus. This has both guitars, left and right. So left guitar is on the same bus as the right guitar. I recommend doing this because it's going to save you a lot of CPU. So we have one panned all the way left, and we have one panned all the way right. Let me see. Oh, there we go, all the way right. First thing, make sure you get a good DI. Change your strings before you record a song. For demoing purposes, we just use whatever's on the guitar, and then when we go into fully record it, we'll change the strings and we'll do all the, all the little technical stuff, set it up, get the intonation right. But if you're the kind of guy that just likes to record songs and leaves it as it is, I recommend you change your strings on your guitars before you record and make sure you get a good DI. And obviously, the most important thing is having a good guitar player, having somebody that can actually pick a guitar and nail it the right way. So let's start with that, actually. So I'm going to play the DI signal for you. Before we even start getting into the mixing of the guitars, we like to use this little plugin right here. We're like big Neural fans over here, so we love all the Neural DSP stuff. So I started using Archetype Nolly and haven't looked back since. I love this plugin. So pretty much this is a good plugin for, like, if you're a producer, this is it. This is everything that you need. So especially for like rock and metal guitars. So as you can see, I started with the default setting. Just default as it loads in. The only thing I changed up was the cab. So I used the first cab, third amplifier, which is a 5150, typical sound. Little bit of overdrive here with the brightness up, a little bit of drive, a little bit of tone. The cabs, we did move around the mics a little bit. I don't like guitars that sound super fuzzy on the high end. I find them really annoying. Even this guitar, we're down tuned like 6 semitones down. I think that's like G sharp or F. So anyway, I'm not a fan of really bright in-your-face guitars. I like them to be kind of like ducked and subdued with the bass guitar sounding as one unit. And then, just the gate to taste. I like a pretty tight gate. I don't like to really hear a lot of ringing and stuff. So we got that settled in there. EQ, pretty much flat all the way through. We do have a low pass filter, like about 6.5, and then we have a high pass filter at like 115, and a little bit of a dip here at like 250. Not doing much, but every little thing makes a big difference. So, and obviously don't forget to put it in stereo, because if you don't, you're not going to get left and right. That's what we use for it. So I'm going to turn this on. This is what it sounds like. Obviously, this tune, the guitar is down, so just be aware. That already makes a big difference. So I kind of like that smooth sounding guitar sound. The next thing we added was virtual mix rack, just for a little bit more of the high end. I know I said I don't like really fizzy guitars, but in the context of a mix, if they don't have a little bit of excitement and fizz to them, they kind of just die in the mix. They don't really cut through very well. So we added a little bit just on the high end, probably not even a dB, like right under a dB. That's just the top shelf, bringing up all the presence. And then I added an FG73. This is pretty much acting as a saturator. I just like what it does to the guitars. It makes the low mids a little bit rounder, and it saturates it a little bit. So this is how it sounds with this on and off. It's off, on, Yes, there was a big volume jump there. This adds a lot, and so but let's keep that on. And then this has probably become one of my favorite plugins. It's a free plugin. I'll link it in the description below because I think everybody should have this. This pretty much acts as a soothe, and if you know about soothe, it's a plugin it's called a resonance suppressor. And what it does is that it initially gets all the frequencies that are like resonating on any instrument. Doesn't matter if it's a synth, it could be a vocal, it could be a guitar, and it dips those down. So it finds those resonant frequencies and it kind of like controls them. It's almost like like think about multi-band EQing something, but with a moving compressor. It's kind of cool. It's like a multi-pressor. So essentially all this is doing is tightening up the guitar tone a little bit. So cleaning up the low mids and like getting rid of like the top sizzle that's like too much, too annoying. So it just makes the guitars kind of sound smoother, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. Cool plugin. I'll leave it linked in the description below so you guys can pick it up. It is free, but you could donate to the developer of the plugin. Please do so. I did myself because this is a great thing. This is a great alternative to Soothe. I think Soothe right now is like $250, and your boy just doesn't feel like spending $250 on a plugin when you have something that could do a similar thing. So now we're gonna get to the EQ. I don't do a lot of EQ on guitars. I don't like going in there like essentially what ANINA's doing is what you would do with like getting a filter and just like doing this and like trying to sweep. I'm not into that stuff. That seems like too much work. There's two resonant frequencies on guitars that I find all the time that are kind of annoying. One of them is 21, like the 21 hertz, around 2.1K. And then you have one about 2.4K that are like really annoying. And so yeah, we just cut those out. So let me play it for you guys. So this is with it off. On. Yep. So that's pretty much all I was doing, just dipping those little high frequencies that are kind of like piercing and annoying to the ears. And then for our last plugin, not our last one, but second to last, I like to put a limiter on the guitars. This is doing just a little bit of the sheen at the top end, just kind of controlling those peaks. So it doesn't like, if you chug or whatever, it doesn't like bounce off too far. As you can see, it's not doing too much. It's just when it peaks or when there's like a chug, it kind of catches that note and it brings it down just a little bit. It's just a little control thing to keep them in place. And then this is our last instance of ANINA on this. Now this one is a little bit different because this one isn't like tied directly to the guitars. This is more tied into the drums. Some guys will use a dynamic EQ to sidechain to their kick drum and bring it down. I like to sidechain all my side instruments to the drum kit itself. So this is bringing down the guitars whenever the kick is being hit or whenever the snare is being hit or whatever it needs to separate for the cymbals to cut through. This is what this is doing. So I'll play a little example for you guys. This is with everything. So yeah, so that's all it's doing. It's just dipping down when the kick drum hits and when the snare hits. It's tied into all the drums. So I get ANINA and I put it on the guitar bus and I sidechain that onto the drums, the full drums. I route everything usually to one bus anyway. And that's how I mix my drums because they're MIDI. They sound good. You don't got to do too much to them. So, but yeah, that's how that works. And that's how we get cool sounding metal guitars. As a little bonus for you guys, this is one little trick that I got from the boy, Mr. Buster Odenholm. And what I do is that I send these guitars out, as you can see this little bus over here, to 12. And channel 12 is all the way down here. bus 12, and this is an octave guitar. Now, I used to do this before with my guitars, but I used to do it like in a full spectrum where I pitch down the guitars an octave. It just ties in better with the bass and makes everything sound bigger. The way that I used to do it, I would just put a pitch shifter. So let's say, for example, we didn't have archetype nollie here. Let's get rid of that there. I would just put a pitch shifter. Let me see, where is it? Pitch shifter. And I would just, bring it down and put the mix at 100%, and then you... Which sounds pretty cool. Until I saw Mr. Odom use Neural DSP plugin, and what he did was that he went onto the EQ, killed all the top end stuff, and just left these two in the bottom. And this is how this sounds like. Sounds a lot tighter. And essentially, you just tuck that underneath your guitars to make everything sound bigger. And the full effect... And there you go. You just learned how to mix some metal guitars. Nothing too crazy, but I do recommend getting that ANINA plugin. It is great. It's a lifesaver. It's essentially a free soothe. Does the same thing. Once you start messing around with it, you get some pretty cool sounds out of it. So I'll leave that linked in the description below. I hope that you guys have learned something today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.